We are seeing an outpouring of support from world leaders over the death of Pope Francis. Here in the U.S., reactions came in fast. Vice President Vance was one of the last people to meet with the Pope. He reflected on their Easter Sunday meeting in a post saying, quote, "I was happy to see him yesterday, though he was obviously very ill, but I'll always remember him for the homily he gave in the very early days of COVID. It was really quite beautiful. May God rest his soul." President Trump posted, "Rest in peace, Pope Francis. May God bless him and all who loved him." Former President Obama, who was in office when the Pope was selected, posted saying, "Today, Michelle and I mourn with everyone around the world, Catholic and non-Catholic alike, who drew strength and inspiration from the Pope's example. May we continue to heed his call to never remain on the sidelines of this march of living hope." And former President Biden called Pope Francis one of the most consequential leaders of our time, saying he was better for having known him. In a statement, the former president said, quote, "He advocated for the voiceless and powerless. He made all feel welcome and seen by the church. He promoted equity and an end to poverty and suffering across the globe. And above all, he was a pope for everyone. He was the people's pope, a light of faith, hope, and love." And we also heard from former House Speaker John Boehner, who reflected on the church's loss with a post saying, quote, "Speaker, will you pray for me? With those words, Pope Francis changed my life. He will forever hold a place in America's history as the first pope to address a joint meeting of the U.S. Congress and in our hearts across the world for his compassionate stewardship of the church." CBS News papal contributor Candida Moss joins us now. Candida, thank you for being here. How successful was the Pope at sort of marrying both the traditional values of the Catholic Church, but also bringing in people into the fold who may have felt marginalized prior?
I think for those who felt marginalized, Pope Francis's importance cannot be overstated. He himself was a pope from the margins, our first South American pope, our first Jesuit pope, and he always identified with that group, welcoming LGBT Catholics back into the fold, divorced and remarried Catholics, and really even to non-Catholics to whom the Catholic Church seemed as if it was on the cusp of irrelevance. He was welcoming them into the Catholic Church too, and sort of embodying real Christian values in many ways for the first time in a number of years.
Also, the Vatican says the cause of Pope Francis's death was a cerebral stroke that led to a coma and irreversible heart failure. You had mentioned people who had felt marginalized. When it comes to homosexuality, the Pope had famously said, "Who am I to judge?" But he still said it's not a crime, but yes, it is a sin. He opened up many roles to women that were previously only held by men, but he did face criticism when it came, for example, to sex abuse scandals. What does some of his critics object to?
So Pope Francis is really interesting in as much as he has critics who are both progressive and conservative. So for progressives, he didn't do enough. We don't see women deacons. We don't see women's ordination as priests. And while he did talk about not judging LGBT Catholics, he did at the same time not go far enough in cementing their role in the church. On the other hand, you have conservatives who see Pope Francis as a revolutionary who sowed seeds of discord and confusion in the church. I think when we look at Pope Francis, we can see a man desperate to keep everyone included, trying not to lose conservatives, even as he moved the church forward.
We know the Pope was critical of some of the Trump administration's policies, including and especially when it comes to immigration. What do we know about Vice President Vance's conversation with him?
So the meeting was very short. Vice President Vance said that himself. And in fact, he had a meeting the day before with Pietro Parolin, who's sort of very much like a diplomat for the Vatican and perhaps a future pope himself. And there, Pietro Parolin spoke to Vance about immigration and about war. Pope Francis has been a very vocal spokesperson for peace in the past 2 years. And like the Catholic Church, Pope Francis has advocated for empathy and compassion for immigrants and migrants everywhere and has reprimanded wealthy countries for turning their back on them.
Candida Moss, I'm sure we'll be talking to you quite a bit over the next few days and weeks. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise.